Now, what we're gonna do today is 17. Okay, we're gonna be joined shortly by Andy Mashaile from South Africa. There's a huge scandal going on in South Africa right now concerning the police and politicians, and we have some videos to play to kind of like introduce you to the subject matter. And we're going to look to see any parallels between what's going on in South Africa and Jamaica, and also lessons learned. Is there anything that we could use from what's going on in South Africa to use in Jamaica? So,
Came up. It's still that one. So go ahead and add it to the screen.
so let me see something. I can.
Thank you so much for availing yourself here on a Sunday morning. I hope you're all feeling good after the whole events that happened in Durban yesterday. You did not enjoy yourself too much, so you're still to focus today. Let me salute my fellow colleagues, the generals and the district commissioners that are assisting me in fighting crime in this province together with my deputies, both from the policing side as well as the investigation. I'm here this morning in order to speak to you about the policing issues that are happening in KZN as well as in the Republic of South Africa. So I'm presenting this briefing to the citizens of this province and by extension, the inhabitants of the Republic of South Africa, specifically about the work of the political killings task team. It's been spoken about a lot, I'm sure you know that. Let me give a bit of a background about this political killings task team. In 2018, the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Ramaphosa, established the Interministerial Committee, which we refer to as IMC, which consists of the Ministers of Police, the Minister of State Security, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services and Correctional Development. These ministers were given a task by the President to ensure that they deal with matters of security nature that affect political leadership in this province. You will recall that the minister had visited the family of the late Musawenkosi Kashana Mkhunu in Placesley in Pietermaritzburg in May 2018. It was then where this IMC was established by the President. So it is a committee of ministers, not a police-directed operation, but a committee that involves different departments. The IMC at the time met and listened to the investigation report that was presented, the so-called political task team that was established before them. And the observation, amongst others, was that the task team was working in silos. It was compromised and that it did not have any investigation as well as a prosecutorial plan or strategy. As a result, there was a little or no progress in the investigation and prosecution of these cases. A decision was therefore taken by the IMC to establish a national integrated multidisciplinary task team, which consists of the South African Police Service, the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, supported by both state security as well as correctional services, which commenced its work in July of 2018 to implement the now tried and tested analysis-led and prosecution-driven investigation strategy. As a result of the excellent performance, the political killings task team has been assigned in another presidential intervention project. I can name the few: the killing of the traditional leaders in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the murders that happened in the University of Fort Hare in the Eastern Cape. Since the establishment of this political killings task team in July 2018, the team has been investigating a total of 612 case dockets. These case dockets include murders, attempted murders, intimidation, conspiracy to commit murders, and other cases. A total of 436 suspects were arrested and charged. 156 firearms were recovered, of which 55 of them were linked directly ballistically through our forensic testing to the political related cases. An additional 35 suspects who are members of the South African Police Service were arrested. The notable one is the one who's now in prison, who's been working with the parliamentarian who was involved in the murder, about the murder of one Siniso Makaka. We're going to talk about that later. A total of 128 accused were found guilty on 106 cases. 29 accused were sentenced to life in prison. 40 accused were sentenced between 10 to 35 years. 25 accused were sentenced between 1 to 9 years. 23 accused were sentenced between 3 to 12 months. And there's quite a lot of awaiting trial prisoners that are going to be finalized in a few weeks. So a total of sentences that is total number of years that has been given, if I add all of them, amounts to about 1,801 years of imprisonment. This is the work done by the team since 2018 to date that have led into the successful prosecution because of this integration working between the SAPS and the prosecution. On the 26th of March 2025, this year, a total of 121 case dockets that were under investigation were taken away from the task team as directed by a Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, a Lieutenant General Sibia, who was acting on the instruction of the Minister of Police to disband the team.
All right, let me just stop right there and just kind of get you up to speed. This is the provincial commissioner of the province called KwaZulu-Natal. I know this man personally, and he gave a press conference almost 2 weeks ago, and he's talking about corruption at the highest level within the Ministry of Police. And he named names. One of the names he named was Shadrach Sibia. I also know that man. And here is Shadrach's response within minutes of, well, within an hour, within a short period of time after the press conference took place here.
All right, while we wait for that full presentation that was just given by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, explosive allegations that he's making in that press briefing against the Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, as well as the Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, General Shadrach Sibia, dropping serious allegations against the minister regarding the disbandment of the Political Killings Unit. He is saying that the work of that particular unit had spoken for itself, but there seems to have been a move to disband this unit, talking about dockets that are rotting in the office of, amongst others, General Shadrach Sibia. He talks about the Minister of Police having communication with syndicates. This explosive material, he says, they have evidence of, listing some of those details. This is according to, of course, the police commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He talks about the minister having communication with syndicates, a certain Mr. Brian or Brown Mokhotsi having communications with the police about dealing with Khumalo as well as Mkhwanazi. You would know, of course, this past week we did have one of the senior officers in crime intelligence, Khumalo, appearing in court amongst other colleagues, and it seems there seems to be an element of some miscommunication, or there seems to be some bad blood which is currently within the South African Police Service, from what we're saying. Mkhwanazi also speaks about known firearms being linked to the killings of celebrities, artists here in Gauteng. He also speaks about the manipulation of the vetting process when it comes to crime intelligence. And he also spoke about the Minister of Police organizing and wanting to create peace between himself, this is Mkhwanazi, and the Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Intelligence, General Shadrack Sibiya. And just to quote, we heard Mkhwanazi say that meeting took place, but there can never be peace between a criminal and a police officer. Now, this suggestion seems to be made towards General Shadrack Sibiya, who joins me on the line now. General Shadrack Sibiya, thank you very much indeed for your time. Let me first get your reaction to a slew of allegations that have been made against you, and in fact, you've been labelled as a criminal.
Thank you very much, madam, and your listeners, Christian. First and foremost, I must say that I'm very much disappointed and shocked because the last time I spoke to General Mkhwanazi was on Friday, and all was well. And to my surprise, I got many calls that coming through say, hey, are you listening? Are you watching? But this is my official response. At this point in time, I just want to say that this matter just came to my attention now, and I've not been made aware of all the details. I will most certainly respond after I have had an opportunity to ascertain the issues, and then subject to the proper regulations and processes, I will also respond. I'm not going to behave as a disciplined member of the South African Police Service. I'm not going to follow the path that General Mkhwanazi followed. I'm not going to take the mic and say things that I cannot prove. All I can say is that I will respond. I just need to consult with my legal team and then respond officially. Safe to say that I'm giving him permission to show to the media the evidence that he's talking about. He doesn't need to bring it to me. And if he knows of any criminal offense that has been committed, he must open a case, he must arrest. And if he's got any evidence, Christian, I'm giving him permission, I'm giving him permission to share it with you or to show it to any other person that he can trust, to say, here is General Shadrack Sibiya's involvement in criminal activities. I'm giving him that permission.
General, I respect the fact that you've just heard about the press conference, as you've indicated, but this is really damning. These allegations that have been made are damning. He's talking about top brass within the South African Police Service, including yourself. Do you know about any of these allegations? We're talking about allegations of the minister allegedly having communication with syndicates, dockets relating to the unit relating to or tasked with investigating political killings in this country, those dockets rotting. Also the fact that in that particular meeting, you also kept quiet and you're being referred to as a criminal now. Do you know about any of this? You are the Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, and all of this speaks to crime in this country, which is completely... We are hearing allegations against the top brass in this country allegedly being involved in crime, having communication with syndicates, firearms which had been linked allegedly to the killing of people. You've got to say something to the people of this nation at this moment, even though you still need to look thoroughly at what he said.
I want to say, as a disciplined member of the police, I will never go stand in front of the cameras and do what General Mkhwanazi is doing, because there are processes to follow when there is such a situation or where you think you are not being heard. What he's doing, quite honestly speaking, is embarrassing, but we are not going to bend down to his level. All I can say is that I will respond word for word, and I will prove to you that what General Mkhwanazi is saying is absolutely not true. It's not true at all. And if that was the case, I can show you that I was communicating with a man just last week now.
Let me just say this is when I heard it, I got a phone call from Cape Town and they said, go to YouTube and watch the press conference. I watched it. I couldn't believe the things I was hearing. And then, like I said, I know most of the principals. I have a personal relationship with them. And so I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But I also have with us today, we also have with us today a very, very special guest. I want to introduce him, but before I do that, let me show you a video with him. And he's been interviewed many, many, many times over the past almost 2 weeks regarding this and other incidents. Let's put this up.
That President Cyril Ramaphosa will address the nation this Sunday night at 7 p.m. on developments arising from statements made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi made corruption allegations against senior police officials and the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu. In a statement released by the presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says that Ramaphosa has been seized with the matter through consultations and will take the nation into his confidence this weekend. Let's now discuss this with a panel discussion as we look at this particular issue and see exactly what is going on. We do have a senior training coordinator on terrorism at the Institute for Security Studies, Willem Els, political analyst Professor Sipho Siepe, and security analyst MD Mashaile. Very good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Mashaile. When you hear that the president is going to be addressing the nation on Sunday, what does he say?
One, it's the right thing, the right step, because some of the people involved report to him directly. Two, I am sure the president is going to say to us, I will look at the matter and I am going to invite a retired judge or retired judges or some lawyers so that they can give a hearing to all the sides that are involved, now going into the investigations mode, and the recommendations will come from that team that would have been assembled. I am not expecting the president himself to be sitting through and listening to all of those things. So those that would be identified and would be invited would obviously give the president some recommendations on the steps to take. But this is not very nice. This is a threat to national security. In fact, this is an existential threat to a number of things. Number one being national security and all other programs that come after your national security.
Willem, when you look at the fact that they've been...
Let me remove that. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'll bring to you onto the stage our brother, Mr. Andy Mashaile. Andy, welcome again to
Welcome back, Andy.
Normally we'd like to have you when we have pleasant things to talk about, but of course that's not life, right? Life is ups and downs. And so you're here today to talk to us about this incident that occurred almost 2 weeks ago. I mean, the press conference. What I'd like you to do is just give our listeners a comprehensive but brief look at what is the issue in this case. What happened?
Yeah, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi called a press briefing and delivered those serious allegations that you have just played on your show. And since that Sunday until up to today, the nation has been gripped by stress and depression. The conversation, the national conversation, is to the effect that one, the minister should be dismissed. Two, General Shadrach Sibia should be dismissed. Three, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi should be made the National Commissioner of Police and or the Minister of Police. All of these things suggesting the seriousness of the stress levels, very high levels, that were brought about by the allegation thrown about by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. And subsequent to that, the president has established a panel comprising of an acting judge, active and acting judge, with some lawyers who would be giving advice or providing some administrative wisdom to the judge, so that in the next 3 months there should be a preliminary report that addresses these allegations, and 6 months later from the date of establishment, which was the Sunday, 6 months later, a final report should be put before the president's desk, so that the president can then decide whether to fire people, whether to reshuffle the minister, whether to advise the national commissioner to dismiss Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, and many other dynamics that would come out of this investigation. Remember, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi spoke about judges, spoke about members of JMPD, the Johannesburg Municipality Police Department. He spoke about rogue cops, and he spoke about prosecutors. He spoke about business people, the cartel that is running the police in Gauteng, and that is influencing. I want to summarize it to a logic that says he suggests that all of these entities have captured the minister and have captured the operations of the police through the minister. As we have seen, one of those business men happens to be a Mr. Vos Cat Matlala. There's an article in the media that's referred to as 9 Lives, the cat with 9 lives, that looks deeply into these allegations, investigative journalism. So long story short, we are at a situation where we are awaiting for that commission to kick off and gather evidence, give a hearing, so that there can be fairness. Those that have done wrong and deserve to be in orange jumpsuits will be in orange jumpsuits. Those who need to be walking on the streets of South Africa as a result of the fallout or the findings would then be walking the streets, no more associated with policing and or the minister's office and or the South African Police Department that provides a service.
Well, Andy, it's kind of tough for me because I know all of these people. In fact, there was even an allegation concerning former police commissioner, former police minister Becky Tele. There's also there's some kind of allegation involving the current police commissioner, Fran Massimola, right? And it's tough, like I said, for me because I know all of these people. I've worked with these people. I have a relationship with these people, and so to hear all of these things, it's like I'm being punched left, right, and center. So that's why I'm going to defer to you now and ask you, because I I don't know what's going on. I want to defer to you and ask you, what do you think really happened? Because before you answer, let me just to recap for people just joining us now. The provincial commissioner of police in one of the provinces in South Africa, a couple of weeks ago, he had a press conference and he came out and he said, listen, the minister of police, the police, a deputy commissioner of police, business people, politicians, all kinds of people are involved.
Judges,
yes. Criminals and involved with criminal activity. And he said that there were some dockets because they were killing celebrities and politicians and political leaders in South Africa, and they formed a task force to look into this, to arrest the problem. And according to General Mkhwanazi, he was highly successful in doing this, so much so that there was the minister sent out an edict to disband this task team. And the dockets that he had, I think over 100 dockets for people to be arrested, that General Shadrach Sibia, one of his counterparts, asked for the dockets to be sent to his office from one province to another province. So now he's saying, I don't have control over these dockets. We were getting ready to arrest people, and suddenly they're gone. And then Shadrach Sibia, he's saying, hey, I got an instruction from the minister. I didn't do this on my own. And it just so happened that the police commissioner was on leave at the time. And it's just a whole lot of back and forth, but it's causing turmoil in the country. And what I'd like to ask, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but what do you think happened, Andy? What do you think happened?
A number of things. As an analyst, as a strategist, as someone who delves into matters of security, obviously, you do your data tracking, you do your intelligence tracking, and you analyze the trends. You look into things in a way and manner that would create a simple understanding for the ordinary man in the streets in these interviews that we get exposed to or invited to. The press conference on a Sunday is the first of its kind. There must be a reason why there was a press conference on Sunday, and we don't know what the reason was. And we also learned that the rumor mill also indicates that either General Ntantla Mkhwanazi or the National Commissioner, General Fani Masemola, were supposed to have been arrested on the Monday after the press conference as a result of some corruption to the value of 6.7 million and or including a 50 million rands corruption case affecting the former Minister of Police. So there are a number of theories that have been put forward for the reason why there was this conference on Sunday, and many other things that have happened include from my stand where I do my analysis in the calculation of the happenings in the law enforcement criminal justice cluster. Remember, Will, that the National Commissioner is going on retirement soon, in a month or 2 or 3. And one of the things that we have heard in the media is General Shadrach Sibia expressing interest in becoming a national commissioner after General Masemola goes on retirement. We have also looked at the possibility of a competition or a tug of war for the position amongst many lieutenant generals in this space. And that says to us, this might be a result of strategic moves in order to dislodge others so that others can be lone rangers in the race for the portfolio of the National Commissioner. And many other theories can kick into play. We realize that for General Sibia to be mentioned in that press conference, he gets mentioned as a result of the instruction that he got from the minister. So when you do a proper analysis, you realize that there are no crimes that Sibia has committed in the exchange between General Ntantla Mkhwanazi and the minister. Given the WhatsApp text messages allegedly between Minister of Police and Mr. Brown Mokgotsi, and including the businessman Mr. Ket Matala, nicknamed Ket Matala, Vusi Matala. You realize that at the end of the day, when you do your dot connecting backwards, you realize that there might be some strategic moves aimed at dislodging others. For an example, it is the minister who, through his instructions, threw General Sibia under the bus. The question becomes, why did the minister not instruct the national commissioner to get the dockets from General Mkwanazi and then give the dockets over to General Sibia, so that Sibia can then begin to do his job properly, that of crime detection? I am not sure whether the minister does not trust the national commissioner, and I am also not sure whether the minister trusts the Deputy National Commissioner General Sibia more than he trusts the National Commissioner. I have also observed an anomaly between the two ministers, one being General Bekicele, who was making operational announcements that were supposed to have been made by one wearing uniform, which happens to be the National Commissioner. And also when you look at Minister Mtunu having a side-tracked the National Commissioner and spoke directly to the deputy of the National Commissioner, it says both ministers either have no respect for the National Commissioner and or the National Commissioner is not competent in their view in delivering what they would want to see happening. So there are a number of factors, a kaleidoscope of factors that inform a number of other things that we will learn of as the commission unfolds and people present evidence at that commission.
You know, Andy, I'm a little bit puzzled, and I'll tell you why. I have in my possession the letter from the minister to the police commissioner, instructing the police commissioner to take the files from KwaZulu-Natal under the control of General Mkwanazi. So the question is, if the police minister sent a letter to General Masimola, who was on leave when the files were removed, why didn't he follow up with the why didn't he follow up with General Mkwanazi, or why couldn't he wait for the police commissioner to come back from leave to say, okay, fine, you can go ahead and you can take the files? Instead, what he did, he sent a letter to the police commissioner, and he said, I want those files. I want the. In fact, I have the letter right here. It says, 1 second. It says, 1 second. It says here, my observation in this regard, as indicated above, is that further existence of this team, that's the ministerial team to address the political killings, is no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately.
Who is the letter addressed to?
The letter's address is going from the. It's addressed to General Masimola, the police commissioner. So the question then is, how did the deputy police commissioner, how did he, under what instruction did he request the files to be transferred from General Mkwanazi to his office? Now, we have heard him say publicly that he got his instruction from the same minister, from the minister, because this is signed Minister of Police Makuno. It's signed by, yeah, it's signed by him on the 31st of December 2024. So I have that letter. So that's why I'm curious as to if a letter was sent to the police commissioner to do away with the task team and take files or whatever the instructions were, then why did he then go and speak to the deputy and ask him to do the same thing? I don't understand. Can you help me out?
Will, what also puzzles me in your hunt for the answer is the provincial commissioner, General Mkwanazi, saying General Sibia acted on the instructions of the minister.
Correct.
And in that letter that you have in your possession, I have a copy of that letter. Nowhere in the letter is it saying, National Commissioner, please instruct General Sibia to go confiscate the dockets from General Ntantla Mkhwanazi. In the press conference, General Mkhwanazi found a way to say the minister instructed General Sibia. I haven't seen any document to that effect. That says General Sibia, take the dockets. And the long and short of it being a by the way kind of a response from General Sibia, who says, I got hold of the dockets as an instruction of the minister. And I can't wait to listen to the commission asking to that very same effect that you are interrogating, Will, that says, how does Sibia come into the picture? Hence, earlier on, I said the minister threw Sibia under the bus, because that letter is the letter that goes to the National Commissioner, who is General Sibia's boss. For one way or the other, the provincial commissioner of KZN and Ntantla Mkhwanazi, having it said, General Sibia, at the instruction of the minister, confiscated the dockets from his province or from his office to his office at the national office. I'm not sure, because I don't have any documentary evidence that satisfies me. And given that instance, I am not going to allow it to bother me. I am going to allow it to bother Sibia when he goes to the labor court to say, I have been mentioned publicly as having taken the dockets or confiscated the dockets and placed them in my office. I would like to see a letter to that effect. If there's no letter, it would amount to unfair labor practice. It would amount to constructive dismissal. It would amount to victimization. And you remember General Sibia has been dismissed some time back by the police, by General Ntlemeza. So General Sibia can go back and into that era, or back into that era, and say, I am being victimized. This is secondary victimization. I just got my job back and I have been brought up in the files, in the 121 file, docket files. And this to me is victimization, because if I took the instructions from the minister, no one has the right to mention my name and refer to me as a criminal for taking instructions from the minister.
Right. You know, again, I went through the letter, and there's nothing in the letter that says, you know, take the files from General Mkhwanazi in KwaZulu-Natal and bring them to Gauteng. There's nothing in there for, concerning that specific point as a direction to General Masimola. The General Sibia is saying, I was instructed by the minister. So I'm thinking the minister has, you know, he's reaching out, and that's a problem about streamlining communication, because this is what happens when you don't do that. Because we have a letter with him telling the police commissioner what to do, and then allegedly there's a verbal communication between him, so far verbal, between himself being the minister, and General Sibia about taking the files. So we I'm a little bit confused. And you're actually right when you said that General Sibia was once dismissed. He was once dismissed from the South African Police Service. His next job was as the anti-corruption czar of the province of Gauteng, and then he was reinstated, and now he's back home. They put him on official leave with pay. They said, "Don't come back to work." And this happened a few days ago. It's reported. He's home right now. So
if you are sent home, I don't know. I haven't been able to reach out to him because these are stressful times for him. And obviously, if he's being tracked from a listening in point of view, we will also be listened in on. I haven't been able to reach out to him. When you send me home, do you take my leave, that special leave from my leave days? If not, where do you take the days from that you're sending me home to go and rest? And have I been charged with misconduct? And if I have been charged with misconduct, I must appear before disciplinary hearing. Why is it not being mentioned that there's disciplinary hearing, that I must go and put my side of the story? Juxtaposed to this scenario would be the commission of inquiry that is coming. Does it mean that when I am home, the leave that I have been placed on, the special leave that I've been placed on, which I am not sure from a labor relations point of view, what does that mean from your ordinary leave days, from your days that your man hours that convert into days? Will you know the story very well? If you're going to sit home, it means there has been man hours that have been either minused from the man hours that you have worked, that has now added it themselves up to a day or days or that kind of stuff. So this is a very, very confusing situation. But like I said, I can't wait for the commission to kickstart, and we will then be able to do these calculations and say something is not right here from a labor relations point of view, from an operational authority point of view, from the minister's authority in terms of reach to the national commissioner and to the deputy national commissioner. I'm actually interested in finding out if that letter went to General Masemola. Is it possible that General Masemola gave General Sibia that instruction from the minister? And I want to say through the minister, obviously, if General Masemola knows and General Sibia gets a call from the minister, it means the national commissioner knew about these whole shenanigans, for the want of a better word.
Now, Jeffrey Tavares is with us. Kevin Stewart is with us. Head boy. Hey, gentlemen, do you have any questions, any observation? I have a couple more, but I want to yield to you. Do you have anything you want to ask, Andy?
Good night, Ambassador. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm blessed, and good afternoon to you guys, that other side of the world.
Yes, Ambassador, based on what you're just saying to Will a while ago and the other people who's listening to us, it seems as if the South African Police Department is, I wouldn't say is as well. It seems like there's a lot of corruption going on in there.
I couldn't hear you very well. Repeat your question again.
I said it seems as if there's a lot of corruption going on in the South African police force.
Yeah, there is corruption going on in the police force. And people have been arrested allegedly for corrupt activities. I think there are more than 3 generals or 4 generals arrested for that. One of them is General Dumsani Khumalo.
Let me just stop you right there, Andy. Let me just stop you right. You know, I'm so disappointed with what's going on, especially with crime intelligence, because you and I know the former general who ran crime intelligence, Richard
Yes.
Ndul.
Yes.
I knew the man personally, and
Yes.
there's some things that he did, and he was arrested, charged, and I think he was found guilty on some of the charges. And so Kumalo came in, and you would think that he would have learned from what happened with Nduli, but apparently he didn't, because now he's ousted from that job. He was just arrested like what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, about 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, and people have been arrested, Jeffrey, including Major General Pilani Lushaba, who is a nephew of the former Minister of Police, General Beki Cele, as the facts have been put out in the public. So this whole thing, it's a big mess. The CFO has been arrested, and the CFO at a certain stage lost a very critical tool, a laptop of the state that has to do with crime intelligence matters, and some cell phones due to a prostitute that he allegedly took home or took somewhere else, and the prostitute stole those things. Many other things that have gone on. So seven people are in court. One of them, we are told, it's public information and public knowledge. We are told a 28 or 29-year lady who came from BMW. We are told that she was a clerk at BMW. She became a brigadier, never been a constable, warrant officer, captain, lieutenant, colonel. She jumped onto the portfolio of being a brigadier. And I just read a few days ago, yesterday, that she has been, all of them are not suspended. They are redeployed to operate outside of the crime intelligence. And that is so funny. These people have appeared before a court of law. There is a criminal matter that they're facing. I would have expected them to be suspended, but you don't know what is going on. So, Jeffrey, yes, there is corruption within the police department, especially the crime intelligence matter. You know that General Mdluli who was the head of crime intelligence, also had to answer to the matters of corruption that got him arrested and that got him convicted. You know, there's been some serious challenges that have to do with corruption in the police, let alone the small operatives, the constables who get sentenced. There are others, Will, who used to escort me when I was the chairperson of the board, when you remember. My favorite guys. They are serving, I think one of them is serving some 20 years in jail. Two of them, the guys that I trusted myself, having had been convicted, they were formerly with Keynes, Lieutenant Sibitani's flying squad unit in the West End. When I learned that either they went to a house, took 14 million or 1.4 million, I got disappointed. They got convicted, they were prosecuted.
Ambassador, we have lost you.
Can't hear you, Andy. We can't hear you.
Yeah, we lost your audio.
I don't know why this thing keeps jumping, Kevin.
Ambassador?
Yes, sir. So
Okay,
long story short, that's it.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Jeffrey.
If I may, Ambassador, based on all of this, sir, and I'll come back home to my own country, Jamaica. At least there's something being done to what is going on in South Africa.
Yeah.
You touched on a point where you said the Commissioner of Police, some documents went missing, and they said a 29-year-old young lady took it. I remember when the former Minister of National Security was somewhere in Portland in Jamaica. Something went missing, and it's the same scenario, but similar to that. Based on all of this, Ambassador, do you think that the minister himself will go to prison or get charged?
No, the minister will not go to prison. And no, the minister will not be dismissed. According to my own analysis and calculations, the minister is very important to the political organization that is leading government. The minister has ensured that KZN, the province, is won by the African National Congress, the ANC. So if you are the president, you would not want to create ruckus by dismissing the minister. You can either reshuffle the minister and or do something else except dismissing the minister.
Andy, Jeffrey, just to piggyback on Jeffrey's question about the Jamaica situation, we have instances in Jamaica where there is suspicion of corruption at the very highest levels.
Yeah.
Within the police service and within the government, there are grave suspicions about what's going on. Now, what we don't have in Jamaica, and that's where I'm trying to look at what's going on in South Africa, I'm trying to make a comparison and also to contrast. We don't have somebody who is like Mkhwanazi, who will come out and say what's on his mind based on his interpretation of the facts. Because, and I say his interpretation because these things will be tested either within a commission or within.
Yeah.
We don't have that in Jamaica. We don't have that. We don't have people speaking out truth to power. Do you think, and we heard what General Sibia said. He said there are processes of addressing the concerns that Mkhwanazi had. Putting that aside, do you think that it was a good strategy employed by the General Mkhwanazi to have a press conference to talk about the minister, his colleagues, and essentially talk about the whole criminal syndicate that's operating within and outside the police?
Will, I have heard the people of my country saying General Mkhwanazi has explored all avenues. I don't know. I haven't heard General Mkhwanazi saying he has explored all the avenues. 1, 2, I know that General Mkhwanazi in Parliament at the Police Portfolio Committee has raised some of the things, has actually challenged the minister in that meeting, and by saying that the minister has a relationship with an unholy relationship with criminals or people outside of the police who he then shares critical information with. And he mentioned that Mr. Brown Mokgotsi. And we are told that the minister said he has no knowledge of who Brown Mokgotsi is. And that is why Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi at that press conference pulled out those text messages, communication between the minister and Mr. Brown Mokgotsi. So whether it was a good strategy or not, I realized that going back to my strategy mentor, who died some 2,500 years ago, Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, in his book, The Art of War, says, act when it gives you advantage. Move when it gives you advantage. So I am sure General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi will, coming from a special forces background in terms of training and in terms of expertise and skill, he would definitely have read the book that we have read, this book, The Art of War. He would have realized that this gives me an advantage over the minister in these matters. And it also gives me advantage to ensure that the minister accounts to what I know. And what I know is contained in these text messages between the minister and Mr. Brown Mokgotsi. And move when it gives you advantage to then say, the minister said in parliament under oath, he doesn't know who Mr. Brown Mokgotsi is, but communicates with him. How do you communicate with someone that you don't know? So that is the advantage that General Mkhwanazi created or exploited in ensuring that the matters that he wants to discuss are put before the nation. Whether it was a good strategy or not from a protocol point of view, I don't know. But as a strategist, I would have advised him to use that tactic of using the advantage that he has in terms of the communication and the weakness of the minister in terms of the response that he gave to Parliament.
Yeah, we're having some technical issues here. The camera keeps switching over to me.
No problem.
All on its own.
All on its own. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but that's fine. Kevin, go ahead.
So,
you have a question for?
So, Andy, listening to all of this, some individuals have already been arrested and doing time. In the process of investigations, those that have already been arrested, do they also have ties and connections leading back to this minister?
There are two factions. There's a Minister Bekicele faction and the Minister Mchunu, this current minister, Senzo Mchunu. And you look beneath him. Beneath the former minister would be Masemula Mkhwanazi, as well as Khumalo. And beneath Mchunu, it would be Sibia and a certain Firoz Khan from formerly with intelligence. Now, some of these operatives would definitely have to do with the minister, in that the incumbent minister is Minister Mchunu. So for want of a better word, if there's an instruction, it would be an instruction that's streamlined from the current minister or the incumbent minister to that individual who's involved in the instruction. So the long and short of what I'm saying is all of them are directly related to Minister Senzo Mchunu, who's the incumbent minister. But whether he talks to them directly or not will be seen in the unfolding commission of inquiry. Whether the minister has dealings with the criminal networks that Mkhwanazi talks about, and those networks are related to others who have been arrested, we stand to see that out in the commission that will be coming out.
Andy, there's you mentioned something about General Subia, and I commented saying that at one point he was relieved of his duties for years, actually, and then he went on to become the chief of the anti-corruption,
for the city of Johannesburg, yes,
Johannesburg, and then he was reinstated back into the police.
Yes.
Now he's sitting at the deputy national commissioner level. And before he was relieved, he was in charge of the functional equivalent of the FBI. It's called the Hawk, DCPI.
The Hawks, yeah.
Right. And he was in charge of the province. No, he was in charge of provincial.
Gauteng province, yes. Gauteng province, yes.
Whole province. So
I worked with him in the same office, in the same provincial office.
I remember. So he went from there, then he was dismissed, then he was brought back into the regular police now, not their version of the FBI, not DPCI.
Yes, not the Hawks, yes.
Yeah, he was brought in as a deputy national commissioner. And now there are 2 vacancies available, or will shortly be 2 vacancies. The South African version of the FBI,
Yes.
it's vacant right now.
Yes.
The gentleman who just retired, General Libya, that position is open.
Yes.
And so there have been talks about General Sabia taking up that role. Also, as far as the police is concerned, the police commissioner's position, General Massimola is getting ready to retire. And there's also talk that this gentleman, General Sabia, is a contender for that position. So there are 2 leadership positions.
Yes.
One is open right now. The second one will be open, will be vacant in, I don't know, 2-3 months. Do you think that there could possibly be some kind of conspiracy to try to prevent him from occupying one of those 2 seats?
Will, if I am your advisor, you are General Ntantam Kwanas or you are Sibia, and you would like to have one of those positions, I would ensure that you use any other tactics to dislodge your competitor. I am sure if I was advising General Sibia, and knowing that General Ntantam Kwanas would want to be the head of the Hawks, I would create a scenario where General Mkwanazi is dislodged in the race so that I become the only horse in the race. The same year carries for General Mkwanazi. If you would have appointed me to advise him or employed me to advise him, I would do the same and say dislodge Shadrach Sibia. So my take on the question that you're asking is, if both of them are interested in the same position, one of them will look for some jostling tactics that would ensure that the other one is knocked off the pedestal or from the race. It doesn't have to be a fair. It doesn't have to be a fair interview race where we win, where I win or where you win race. It has to be based on strategy and tactics that will give me an advantage. There are some police officers who were arrested. One was a brigadier, a female brigadier. She had applied for the position of being a major general. She was arrested on a Sunday too by 16 men who went to a female's house, arrested that female. That female called me looking for assistance, and he called one of your brothers, the people's poet, you know him very well, and phoned a lot of people to say a group of men outside my house, that kind of stuff. So you would ask yourself, Will, from a strategy point of view, if that woman was a brigadier at the police services, operating from a certain office, what was the significance of arresting this woman at night on a Sunday? Because you could have waited for that woman to go to work on Monday and arrested her at the parade or at her office. So some of these things tell you that woman has left the police, Will, works for a good company, and is making waves that she's head of security, amongst other things. And this tells you that woman was dislodged because someone had already been identified to become a general, a major general. So that woman had an advantage because of skill and operations of becoming a general. So these things happen. This is strategy, Will. This happens in the corporate world, and this happens in the public space, in public administration.
All right, we're almost out of time. I wanna, before I bring in Head Boy, because I don't know if he has a question. It's that I'd like to recognize all of the folks in South Africa watching, not just South Africa, but I know people in Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, and Eswatini. They're all watching. I'm getting the text messages here. This is a very, very significant topic, and so I want to thank them for tuning in. Also, what I'd like to do, well, let me bring in Headboy. Headboy, do you have a question for Andy? Let me see if...
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen. And thank you for having me. Good evening to Andy again. I know it's a trying time there in South Africa. My question to you would be in terms of the outlook now on the police services, because I know, for example, the president would have put the minister on leave, and knowing your constitution very well in South Africa, the president has no such power. Am I correct, Andy? That the president only has the power to appoint ministers, but he cannot put a minister on leave. He can only appoint him or fire him, but he cannot put him on leave. And so I want to get your views on that issue, because it seems as if President Ramaphosa is really crumbling. He's falling apart. He has a JNU government, which is a government of convenience. For many of us, we see it as a government of convenience. The president recently, there have been allegations surrounding issues with state entities and the selling out of state entities in South Africa, like what we're seeing in Jamaica. And so quickly, my question, Andy, would be, one, what is the role, what really should the president have done with Minister Makono? And also, could this be, because I'm hearing some information as well, that this could also be that the ANC is having its internal fight as well, because I'm hearing Mabula, Secretary General Mabula,
Mbalula,
forgive me, Malula, is having his challenge, is apparently having internal fights in the party with Matishele and the very KZN area where he just disbanded the ANC's group, or reconfiguration, as he said. That group in KZN would actually have voted against Mabula. So I don't want to get too much in the politics with you, Andy, but I just want you to respond to those two. Yes.
I will step away from the politics, and I will.
I know you would.
I will focus on matters of security, strategy, and analysis. This morning I received a letter that was sent to the president. That letter is a letter from the attorneys of the MK party. The MK party contends to that effect that you have just raised, that says the president cannot suspend a minister. The president cannot does not have power. I think it's Rule 94, Rule 94, something like that. I didn't really focus in on it. But there is a court challenge on the placing of the minister on special leave. Also, in that court challenge, there is an assertion that you can't take an outsider of parliament and make that particular person a minister without having it sworn him in as a member of parliament. So the issue that you're raising has already been put before the court. I am sure the president and his legal team would be looking into that in a way and manner that would further clarify those sections of the Constitution that the president quoted in requesting the minister to go on special leave, or putting the minister on special leave, or what you and I, from a labor relations point of view, would say putting the minister on suspension. The second question with regard to the internal processes of the ANC. Once again, as a strategist, I understand the strategy, whether it's wrong or right, giving a benefit to an individual or not. Obviously, the ANC would look at what gives it an advantage to remain in power, to remain in charge of Province A or Province B, either Gauteng or KZN. When it comes to members of the African National Congress vying for positions, that would best be looked upon by a political analyst who spent a lot of time looking at the politics.
Andy, if you, and we're just going to have a quick fire question and answer because we're almost out of time. If you were, because we have some of these situations in Jamaica, it's just that we don't have people speaking out. As a strategist, if you could advise those who would be inclined to question power and the power in the police, in government, what would be your advice to such a person or such a group?
If everyone is being bought off, or if everyone is scared, we will not be able to win, number one. Number two, if people don't have the interest of the country at heart, they will not be able to ask questions. Based on those two factors, I would draw my strategy and say, I realize that fear is gripping Jamaica. Who is best positioned in Jamaica? Who has a following? Who has been talking? Who has been an activist in the war for justice? I would advise that individual, please go to court and you and your followers go to court and challenge the constitutionality of some of the behaviors that have been displayed by those in leadership, and or challenge those in leadership to provide sections that are provided for by the Constitution that protects them from the wrong that they have been doing. When you do that, you now force those individuals to expose themselves by providing those sections that would give them the right to do what they do. When they do that, they would be exposing themselves in a way and manner that would then allow a group of those people from Jamaica, be them activists or those in the diaspora, to look at a weakness or some vulnerability in the strategy of those who are in leadership.
All right. Let me just quickly go around the horn here before we end this segment. And Jeffrey, Mr. Tavares, question, final word for Andy.
What I have to say is that Ambassador Andy Mashayile had some very, his brain is still ticking when it comes down to a lot of things in corruption is going on in South Africa. And we would love to have him in Jamaica. This is a person to have in Jamaica to really do some investigative thing down there and to see if we could get some of those people in the land of wood and water wearing some orange jumpsuits, My question to you, though, Ambassador, is this. Well, not really a question, is this. In all that is going on in South Africa, do you think that the corruption in the highest level of South African parliament or South African politics will ever stop?
I am very certain when you convict those at the higher echelons of leadership and government, you would reduce corruption in South Africa. And the same goes for Jamaica. When a few, there is no way in which those people will not be arrested. Let me cite an example. President Rodrigo Duterte from the Philippines once went into the chambers of a judge. He wanted the judge to sign off a warrant of arrest. The judge did not want to sign the warrant of arrest. He kicked the judge and he asked for a gun from one of his protectors. And the judge signed that warrant of arrest. And as a result, someone got arrested. But let me fast forward it to 2025. He is now sitting in detention, having violated human rights for the era when he was the president. Now, those who are sitting in the higher echelons in Jamaica and South Africa, and they commit crime, and it happens that they lose power, they are going to be tried. They are going to be prosecuted. So it would be much easier and wise for them to can change the tactics that they are using. I am saying when we convict one or two or three of them, the cookies is going to crumble. The house of cards is going to collapse. The dominoes are going to fall.
The house of Andrew will fall. Go ahead, sir. Sorry, Ratty, go ahead.
Let me just say that I'm getting news from South Africa here, Andy. I don't know if you're getting the same news that police minister, incoming acting police minister, Professor Firoz Kachalia, is wasting no time. They said that he's in a move sending shockwaves through the South African police service. Kachalia has openly criticized and now reportedly plans to remove Lieutenant General Natla Mkonazi from his post as KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner. If this is true, there is going to be civil unrest.
I have seen an interview that my colleague in ethics and anti-corruption circles, he is the chairperson of the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council, NACEC. We have a functional relationship with them. I would have sent you the photo if I remembered earlier on. We took a photo together. Remember, I am advising on ethics and advisory council to the Premier of ethics and anti-corruption, to the Premier of Gauteng. You know Panyaza very well. I watched the interview of my wonderful brother and colleague, Professor Firoz Kachalia, where he said General Ntantla Mkhwanazi should not have done what he has done. So what that statement means, I know Firoz Kachalia, he is a firebrand. He's a no-nonsense man. I am sure that he has already applied his mind to one of the questions that you asked me. Was this the right thing for Ntantla Mkhwanazi to have done? Did he follow the channels, the proper channels and protocols? I am sure him, Firoz, having issued out that statement, he already has analyzed or made some serious questioning and interrogation of the process and realized that the general did not follow protocols. This is from an analysis. This is not what he has said. I am saying, analyzing what he has said, to me it means he must have gone way deeper and looked at the police code of conduct. You know it very well, Will. that you are supposed to go through the system for the system to work for you. And I am sure him having it said it's not good, what Nhlanhla has done is not good, means there will be some disciplinary action that is going to be taken against General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. As for the unrest, we have seen big marches in KZN and in the country supporting General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. We have seen the EFF, head boy, we have seen the economic freedom fighters supporting General Mkhwanazi, and the MK party supporting General Mkhwanazi, and we saw some defense force members supporting General Mkhwanazi. I am sure there will be some unrest, and we also had the minister in the presidency who has been responsible for state security agency, Minister Nchaveni, saying a plot has been discovered or unearthed that there are people who are plotting to overthrow government, a coup d'etat, some kind of a thing. So I'm sure government will find some way. If they want to remove General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, they will find a way to do away with him.
Let me just say hello to Sepo and all of the folks in Cape Town, all the folks in Pretoria, Johannesburg, Durban, and points in between. I mean, my phone is blowing up. They're all reaching out to me. There was something I was gonna say regarding the saga. That's if General Mkhwanazi, and you mentioned a bunch of groups supporting him, but there's one group supporting him that I was frankly speaking, I was a little bit surprised, but they've been writing to me and they've been explaining their position why they support him. And you know who that is? That is the Afrikaners, the white
farmers. Yes.
Yes, they're writing to me and they're telling me we support him and we're gonna go support him. And if there is any move to rid him of the position or to harm him, there is gonna be problem. This is it's a powder keg. It's a powder keg. Before you answer that, let me just quickly shift to Kevin, because time is at a premium right now. Let me just quickly shift to Kevin. Kevin, go ahead with your question or your comment.
Well, like you, Andy, I'm waiting to see what comes from this investigation. You think this is something that we can transpose? First of all, how long you think something like this would take, and how long has it been going on? Those that were already arrested, how long ago was that? And for us to get to this point now, much longer do you think it will go on? And do you think it is something that we can just take at its face value and transplant it into Jamaica to get something like that to work in the fight against corruption?
It is not good to transplant it, for the want of a better word. The tactics, the strategy and tactics should be informed by various dynamics. One, the mood in the country. What are the people saying? Are people sick and tired of crime in Jamaica? In South Africa, the people are sick and tired of crime. That's why Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has a huge following. Now, in South Africa, the people are tired of crime in the police department. Are people tired of crime in the police department, the JCF or the JDF? I'm just citing examples. Are people tired of the JCF, of the crime in the JCF, or are people tired of the crime in the office of the Prime Minister or in government? Juxtapositioning it with South Africa, are people tired of the crime in the minister's office? When you now do an analysis and comparison, you realize that the people are angry that the Minister of Police is associated with criminals. 1. 2, you realize that the people are angry that the police are involved in corrupt and criminal activities. Hence, an independent institution called the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, IDEC, has arrested those generals and that lady brigadier who they call her the BMW brigadier in this space. So it tells you that the dynamics would inform the action of the people. And a six-shooter in this, or should I say a revolver in this fight that neutralized and created this chaos was the IDEC. IDEC is associated with the prosecuting authority that arrested General Kumalo and others. So when you have one of those institutions in Jamaica that can arrest a minister or two or three, there will be serious challenges. In this case, Will, I learned that there is a case that General Mkwanazi has opened against the minister. I saw that in the media, but it has not really gotten traction in South Africa. So what does that mean? If there is a case, it means General Mkwanazi will go and arrest the minister should the minister go to KZN. And what does it say? It further complicates the matter. What does it say to the commission? So I'm not sure, Kevin, when you have these dynamics, hours are ripe for change. I'm not sure in Jamaica, what is it that can be a powder keg that would need a single matchstick to can light that gunpowder, leading to an explosion of those dynamics, leading to the arrest of the individuals involved.
You know what, Andy? You're laughing because you're saying that General Makonazi, that you heard that he laid charges against the minister, his boss's boss, right?
Yes.
And that he would arrest him should he travel to KZN. The fact of the matter is that minister is from KZN. That's his home. So so he can't go home. So but hold on one second.
I feel the same way.
But Andy,
let me throw in a cat amongst the pigeon as we close off. General Tantam Kwanazi is in possession of evidence for crimes that he alleges that have been committed. If he doesn't open a case, it's a criminal offense, a criminal offense against him. He knows that someone has committed a crime, or alleges, or someone is involved in criminal activities. That knowledge makes him, forces him to go and lay a case against the minister, or to lay some charges against the minister. If he has not done so, someone else should arrest General Mkwanazi and actually ensure that the evidence that he is in possession of is used by the court. So this whole thing, it's a big mess and it's complicated. If he has opened the case, it means the minister will not be able to go home.
yeah, it's perverting the course of justice. So
yeah,
so he would have to, like you said, if he has evidence of a crime that's committed, he's under the responsibility of bringing charges. He has to. Now, couple more things. One is, this is just a comment. I'm just curious as to the time that it's going to take for all of these things, all of these incidents, all of these hearings to play out, because we know in South Africa, and to some extent Jamaica, that we see it more in South Africa than Jamaica, where when a police officer is suspended, it takes years for the matter to be resolved. You and I, Andy, we know of an officer who was the number 2 person in the South African police service. I don't want to put out her name. She's a sister. I don't want to go beyond that. But yeah, it was removed, and it's been years now, and nothing has taken place. But here's a question I have for you. Someone asked me to ask you this. They said, one of the ways Jamaican politicians corrupt the system is by appointing special envoys and pay homage who are their friends to economic, security, education, and other areas. These special appointments are often not transparent. Do you think this is consistent with good governance, and does this happen in South Africa?
No, it doesn't happen in South Africa. 1, 2, this is not good governance. And 3, strategy. The one who's appointed as a special envoy has weaknesses. There's no one who does not have weaknesses. There's no one who cannot be profiled. There's no one who does not have skeletons in their cupboards, the little skeletons. Those skeletons can be made to wear Louis Vuittons and stumble out of the cabinets, so that you can use those skeletons against those special envoys. When they get arrested, those special envoys, they will spill. I'm trying to say, when we want to deal with crime in Jamaica, either committed by whoever, we can. We just need to know. We just need to have strategies and tactics. I'm not a fan of people going out to rallies and holding microphones in their heads and megaphones in their hands and saying a whole lot of things. It does not yield results. What yields results is when people sit down and strategize and look at a number of things. You'll ultimately be able to say, here's a vulnerability. Let's go to this vulnerability. We will then be able to get to the bad guys who are employing those special envoys. Simply put, people are corrupting individuals so that they can continue to commit crime, defeating the ends of justice. These are things from an analysis point of view that I'm seeing.
Head boy.
Yes, Jeffrey. Yes, Ratigan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're winding up now. So you have a comment or a question for Andy?
No. I more than I want to thank Andy for his expertise in this era, and I wish him best, and I wish the people of South Africa who have such deep love and regard for, we wish the best for South Africa, and to see South Africa come to a state where, like Jamaica, everyone can have a fair share of the pie. So all the best to you, Andy, and thank you for your very, very, very keen insight.
All right,
thank you very much, Head Boy.
Yeah, Jeffrey, you had a question.
No, I just want to say to Ambassador Andy that, it is always a pleasure sharing forums like this with him, because believe you me, you learn a lot from him and you take away a lot when it comes on to hearing when he gives his analysis and so many things. Ambassador, thank you for coming on, man. Thank you so much. I learned a lot from you, and I hope one of these days, Will and I and Kevin and even Head Boy will travel to South Africa to visit you, man.
Yeah, come to South Africa so that I can corrupt you guys. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
we already have help with that department.
No, I'm just joking. Will, you know me, and Jeffrey know me by now. You are either doing things straight or you don't. With me, you're either clean or you are not. And I know the difference between a black and a white cat. So there's no such thing as a gray cat in my space. So thank you very much, Jeff. Please do. You are supposed to have come through this September, Will, and bring Jeffrey and Kevin with. But we will see what to do. Me and my beautiful wife, my beautiful young wife. Yeah.
At the end.
You can't leave that part out, Andy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm waiting for you guys to come and have barbecue with us. We call it braai vlees in South Africa. I'm waiting for you guys to come through. Let's continue to talk off air and make special arrangements. Maybe next year or so. Let's make it happen.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And look, I just want to thank you for coming on, and I'm praying for the people of South Africa that things will be resolved peacefully, because the trajectory it's on right now, it doesn't look good. So I'm hoping that there will be a breakthrough and this matter can be resolved peacefully and they all go back to living normal lives. So
Thanks,
I want to thank you again. I want to thank your lovely young wife for allowing you to come on.
Indeed.
And we will go ahead.
I'm supposed to be brandishing off my visa. My wife has gone to Rustenburg, in the Northwest. So I'm the Lone Ranger in the house.
Right, Andy, so look, it's been a pleasure. Take care of yourself. We'll
Thank
talk.
you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
I'll give you a call, Ambassador.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.